Hello and welcome to this week's webinar. And today we're going to be talking about social media and how you can grow your business on social media. I have started it early so we can wait for people to start. We are beginning at 2. So let's just wait for people to join. And at 2 sharp, we shall be kicking off this webinar. Okay, we have 1 minute to 2. We're almost kicking off this webinar. Whoever's not here, invite a friend. Let's get educated on most of the things on how to do. Today, we're going to have a special guest from Ruby Marketing, who's going to be taking us through the journey of marketing on social media. We're going to ask him some questions, and he will tell us his experience. He will tell us his experience on social media marketing. We're waiting for some more people. Let's give it 5 more minutes as they join. Remind you, if you have any questions as the webinar goes on, this is a reminder that you can put up your hand. It's in the app. It's on the Zoho app, and if you're using web, it's still on your left side. So if you want to ask a question, you can put it in the Q&A section, or if you have a question that you want to ask the speaker, you can just put up your hand. We shall be able to allow you to talk and push through your question. Today we're going to have a special guest from Ruby Marketing. We are still waiting for him to come through, as we wait for more attendees to actually come through. So as we wait, if you have any question that is a burning question about marketing, just put it in the Q&A section, and we shall be going through all of this as the webinar goes on. I welcome you again to this week's webinar. I hope you do learn something. And at MonkeyPesa, we have developed a CRM software that you will need, not may, but you will need for your business. We currently have it in production. And if you do need it, I could drop the link in the description, or if you're going to need this video at a later date, I'm going to be dropping this video on our YouTube channels, MonkeyPesa, monkeypesa.com. You'll also get some free resources as you go to our website to register for this CRM that will help your business develop and be organized as you go through your day-to-day. As we wait for our guest today that is going to take us through today's webinar, please share this link on your socials, on your WhatsApp, because this is going to be quite an educational webinar for your business in terms of social media. How are you going to go through the social media marketing on social media? Because some people just think it is for, well, posting pictures, posting funny memes. It can actually be for in social media can actually be for more than just posting your pictures. Welcome, Ruben.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, sir. So today we're going to have Ruben from Ruby Marketing taking us through some of the questions that you've been asking us on our social media pages at MonkeyPesa. You were going to have him go through this, dive into these questions because he's a marketing expert in his own right. We're going to have him dive in these questions and ask. If you need to ask, just put up your hand or drop the question in the Q&A. Well, let me let him introduce himself further, and then we kick off today's webinar.
Thanks for having me here. Ruben Kihumuro is the name. Ruby Marketing is the brand. Ruby Marketing, we're basically about emphasizing communication and communication for brands and businesses. We have been particularly involved with digital marketing for businesses and individuals, but majorly now focusing on businesses. But also want to venture into branding. We are planning into venturing into the whole storytelling aspect of everything. So we are not only focusing on the digital marketing, but we are also focusing on trying to tell the whole story, because we realize that businesses, especially in Africa and particularly in Uganda, there's a big challenge on how our stories are being told. So rather than just handling your digital marketing, how about we handle your whole communication? So that is what we're basically about.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you, Ruben. Now, of course, going to the niche of the topic today is how to use social media to grow your business. Now, we've been getting questions on our social media, Ruben, about how do you use social media? Because people just they think it's all about using maybe Slay Queens, it's all about you post, it's all about you just post your product on social media and voila, it's going to be marketed to the masses because you have maybe 1,000, 2,000 followers. However, this one common question that we're getting the past 2 weeks. How do you actually use social media to gain the leads that you want for your business, your particular business that you are in?
Yeah, that's actually, I think it's a very common question. It's one that I get as well. And just to start by saying that this notion that social media marketing or digital marketing in general is like magic, which many business owners and people that want to use social media think. They think it's just a matter of just putting your product out there, and then all of a sudden, people start knocking at your door, people start calling you, and that's not the case. It takes a lot. I think diving into that question, it all starts with your product and service. I keep telling people that as marketers, we're not going to be able to pull a rabbit out of a hat if your product, if your service is not good. And it's also bad for us to be able to market your product on social media, and then you ideally the client goes there and tries to use it, and then it's not of the standard or of the quality that was marketed. Ideally, that can bring you a lot of bad review, which will scare off other people, because you never want to have a customer who is not happy talking about your brand. So ideally, it starts with having your product or your service being the right kind of service, I should say. Then you also have to ideally understand that which platform works for you. You might not have all platforms working for you. If you're lucky enough, maybe you will, but it's about understanding which platform works for you and how best you can be able to communicate to the people. Create the plan. Instead of actually trying to talk at people, talk to people, communicate with them, show them value, entertain them, be insightful, and try to engage them and address some of the problems they have. And it happens in a natural way that they start to align towards you, they start to trust you. And depending on what your product or your service is, now the people will want to act. And of course, they are customers. It goes through a particular stage. From the stage of awareness. Hi, can you hear me?
Ruben, your video has gone off.
Oh yeah, I don't know
yes,
why it went.
Yes, you're back. Your video is back.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, so I was saying, once you've established the part of having a good product or having a good service, and then I don't know why my video keeps taking itself off for some reason.
Maybe it's a connection. Yes, but I think it's stable. I think it's stable now.
Yeah. Yeah, so ideally, once you've been able to establish that these are the platforms you need, and that you have at least on your end worked on your product or your service, then you have to consider considering social media ads. I keep telling business owners, you cannot run your business page like as if you're an ordinary person who has opened an account simply to post pictures or to just share banter. You have to have a budget on a monthly basis, whether you're a big business or you're a small business. You have to have a certain budget for your social media ads. And also, when you're going to run your social media ads, you need to be intentional. It's not just a matter of throwing money down the drain. What is your plan? What is your strategy? And what are your KPIs? So that you always have to go back on your goals and understand that, all right, this is how much I've spent and this is how much I'm getting back. So understanding that, and then going through the stages of understanding your customers. Like I said, there are 3 stages. From the awareness, that is the first time you're trying to reach out to your customers about basically the product or the service that you're presenting to them. Then to the consideration, where you're now taking them to a different stage, where they're starting to consider, starting to engage, starting to want to know more about that product. And then going on to the conversion, where you now turn these people that have been attracted to your brand, to your product, and then you turn them into customers that are actually paying, actually relating with your brand, and then you go on. And ideally, there are so many ways you can do this on social media, Of course, you can launch some compelling lead magnet offers where you have particular people. You basically offer them value. Something like this, a webinar that is valuable to them as a business owner. I'd want to maybe tune into one of these to be able to tap into the ideas. And once I feel like, you know what, I have really gotten value off this, why don't I become a part of maybe say Monkey Pesa or Ruby Marketing for the value they have offered me? So we have to always be in a position to share value and then have these lead value magnets that bring people in. Ideally, I think that is one of them. Testimonials are very important as well in creating leads on social media. How do testimonials work? If I have some customers that I've worked with already, then I am in position to maybe engage them. And this is where it's important to have a very good relationship with your customers, that these are the people that are going to go out and be your let's say your salespeople or your ambassadors for free. They're going to share their experiences. Maybe it can be through an article, maybe it can just be through a social media post. But you will find that customers actually relate more to hearing something. Like, for instance, if I am thinking about buying a particular brand of water, and I have, let me say, I'm going to be able to look for options on which I can buy. But I'm seeing brand X is talking about their water. Of course, I'll expect the brand to only say good things about their water. But if I go to a review section, or if I read reviews on a blog article, or just social media posts about a particular thing, I'll be able to get what I consider an honest opinion from what other customers' experiences have been. So I think that will put my mindset in a better way to make an informed decision that, you know what, I'm going to go with brand Y because maybe, let's say, brand Y, people like the pricing, maybe the delivery was good. So basically having those testimonials as a business is very important, which all goes back to the customer experience that you give your current customers, and then creating that relationship for them to continue to sell to you or to sell for you. Also important to have targeted ads. Targeted ads are very important. As a business, I was saying, it is you cannot have your business run on social media without ads. Now, with the ads, you, of course, like I said, there are the 3 stages, but you have to also be consistent in the way you run your ads. Keep what we call being top of mind. You can ideally push your brand once or twice, but in this social media world, that I can tell you that every day you wake up, there is something new, there is something trending. If you do not keep relevant in the way that you communicate with the people, in the way that you talk to people about your brand, about your product, about how your product is valuable to them, it's easy for them to forget. We ask ourselves why brands like the biggest brands in the world, like Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola can afford to keep quiet for a while, but they choose not to do so. Why do you think that is? That is probably because no importance of keeping top of mind. I might not want to use your product now, but the fact that I constantly see your ads and also constantly see your products on my feed, I will maybe recommend to someone, I will maybe consider it. And I think that's something that's very important, that we keep top of mind, and that is where ads help us as well. Then I think summarizing for this question with some of the little bit of notes that I had noted down, one of the more also important things that we have is sponsorships. As a brand, sometimes you need to understand what your target market resonates with. Let's say, for instance, you are Nile Special. Let me just use Nile Special as an example. And you're trying to sell to a rugby market. If you're trying to sell to a rugby market, sometimes you want to understand what other content are these people taking in? Are they consuming? Is it podcasts about sports? Is it maybe engaging with, let's say, NBS Sports? And then you've tried to put yourself in a position where your product can be spoken of or advertised on those particular content avenues. This ideally helps you to reach your target market using other trusted content sources that can ideally help you. And of course, one thing that I always end with is always have a way you're tracking. It could be a tracking code, it could be a tracking link that helps you understand that, okay, I have used these different avenues of trying to get leads, then how best am I able to how can I put it? How best am I able to put the data into something I can understand, that if I have used X avenue, I've gotten 2 leads. If I've used Y as an avenue, I've gotten leads. Like we talked about the ads, we have talked about the sponsorships, we have talked about our own platforms and being consistent in posting. What is giving us more reach? So that A/B testing kind of thing from the feedback you're getting and the tracking you have done helps you know where to put more resources and where to not put some resources.
Thank you, Ruben. That's wow. And in terms of content and product, before we go on to the next question, let me remind you, viewers, those who have not heard of the MonkeyPesa CRM, it is finally live. You can go to monkeypesa.com, our site, and you can actually just go through it and browse through it. We have a 14-day window free of charge. You can go through, you can use it, and if it fits your business, please subscribe and let's work with you to make your business better. Now, question. When you have very many for example, social media sites, for example, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Let's say you have only those 3. Is there any like specific content that these social media platforms respond to for your niche market? Because this is something that has even baffled myself, because maybe you can put a poster on Twitter and you get 0 likes, 0 follows, 0 engagement. And maybe you put that same photo on Facebook.
Yeah, you are frozen a bit. I don't know.
You can, Ruben? You can hear me?
Yeah, Benjamin, you're frozen a bit.
Yes, I was saying, you can have one post on, let's say you have a poster that you're going to put on Twitter, Facebook, and let's say Instagram, and then you post it on Twitter, and it does not get any engagement. You post it on Facebook, gets 1,000 likes, people engaging with the photo. You post it on Instagram, it gets really mild. So is there social media specific content that you post on to get engagement for your brand on social media?
Yeah, so that question, I think I'm going to say predominantly yes, but to a smaller extent, no. Why I say yes is sometimes you'll find that you need to, if you are using, let's say for instance, Instagram is more of a visual platform, so you have to curate your content from a visual point of view, or from a small video point of view. Currently, the most engaging content on social media platforms, as research has showed, is that the video and the photo kind of content is getting more engagement as compared to text, as compared to articles and the different kinds of content. But like you said, if you have different platforms, for instance, Instagram, I was saying it's more of a visual content, so your communication might be different. For instance, if you're putting out something about an offer, you might have to maybe put it through an Instagram reel, which is a short video, to communicate your offer, or you might have to put it through an image, something that is predominantly an image with maybe just a little bit about the offer, or the offer in the caption. Then maybe when it comes to platforms like Facebook, then you can be more in depth with graphic artwork. So you have to be particularly intentional in understanding each of the platforms. That if we are on Instagram, how are people, our target consumers delving, or let's say consuming their content on this platform? Then if we move to Facebook, the ones that we are trying to target, how are they consuming it? It's important to know how these people consume, because that is how you need to communicate to them. Do not force them to understand or to take in your content the way you imagine it to be. Take it in a way that you have to adjust to the way they want. They are the customer. The customer is always right. So you take the value to them and tailor it particularly. To a smaller extent, I believe there is content that can cut across all platforms sometimes. Or sometimes you can do it intentionally to see how it is working best on which platform. because like I said, there is a strategy called an A/B strategy. If I am deciding that, okay, I want to put out this article on let's say Facebook and Twitter, I may choose to put it in the same manner and then see how it responds better for me to choose which platform to give more attention. But then you will find that if that particular content that maybe has, let's say, a link to a blog is shared on Instagram, Instagram does not incorporate links in its caption. So in that way, you are in a way not getting people to engage or to go back to where you want them to go. You have to tailor the way you caption, the way you create the content, and then maybe throw the link in a bio. So your communication ideally changes. So anyway, just summarizing with that, it is very important for you to, one, know your target customer and how they consume on the different platforms of consumption. Then two, also, what are the dynamics of this platform? Like, for instance, like I said, Instagram does not really incorporate links in the caption, but then you can incorporate the link in your bio and send them there. And Twitter is more of brief conversations that are more rapid, so you won't want to be too wordy. But then you have maybe with LinkedIn and Facebook the luxury of being a bit more wordy. And then also the content types is, are you going with photo? Are you going with video? Are you going with text? Are you going with links to a survey? All that is important in understanding where and when. So yes, I think it's important to know that you need to have content tailored for the different platforms. Although to a smaller extent, yes, you can have that content run across all platforms.
Interesting. Actually, when you talk about understanding these platforms, this brings me to a question I've actually had myself. When a business is choosing a platform, what in particular should they consider? Or these platforms are good for any business? Like you can have your Twitter, you can have your Facebook, you can have your Instagram. For any business, you can put it there. Or is there, for some particular businesses, do they respond better on particular social media platforms? What should you consider as a business?
I think that ideally that goes back to the research you have done. I always encourage businesses that, people in business, that you do not go into business or even just engaging on social media as a brand without doing your research, your due diligence. And then once you've done your research, you understand, or you at least try to know who your target customer is. Once you know who your target customer is are you a B2B kind of business? Are you a B2C kind of business? Once you first get that into play, then you will know which platforms to go to. Maybe you may need to be more on LinkedIn and maybe more on Facebook than you need to be on Twitter. If your customers, maybe you need to be a lot more on Twitter and Instagram. But then also understanding the age bracket as well. That the way someone above, let's say 35, is consuming their content is different from the way someone, let's say, below 25 is. So you need to understand that sometimes if you are targeting below 20 or below 25, you may need to also have to incorporate in Snapchat and TikTok to communicate to your target customer. So it's important for you to be able to understand, one, what kind of who's your target customer? Is it a business? Is it a consumer? Then also understanding that what is their age group, and then also understanding as a brand, what kind of brand are you? Are you a lifestyle brand? Because if you are a lifestyle brand, then maybe Instagram is more for you. Snapchat is more for you. Are you more of a, let's say, targeting businesses? Then maybe LinkedIn is more for you. So basically, it all goes down to understanding your target customer and understanding where they spend most of their time, on which platform they do that. Once you understand that, then you're able to also, on your end, know how to tailor that. If my customers are majorly on Instagram, I could have Twitter just because I want to have a bit of equity online. But aside from that, Twitter will not be very important for me as Instagram will be. And sometimes, yes, it is important for you to have across all platforms when you're starting and you're trying to still understand where you need to be or where you need to put more attention. So then you have a couple of them, then probably engage on all the platforms. But once you've understood which one is giving you more quality leads, more quality engagement, then you can focus on that particularly. So it's not a must for you to be on all social media platforms, but then it's also important to understand your target customer, to understand where they spend their time, what kind of brand you are also, because that will go back idea to the social media platform that favors what kind of brand that you are.
Wow. It would seem research goes hand in hand in most of these things, because personally I've been dealing with some brands in the past few months, and this is one thing that people don't really understand. People don't really find important as they are doing their work. They just dive in. They get an idea. For example, dog food from Ben. Get an idea, like, you know what? I have dog food. I have stock. Go get stock. Get a location, and boom, they just start posting dog food on social media, and they think social media is going to do miracles without them knowing their kind of niche market. They don't know who they are marketing to. For them, they say, I have followers. I have 1,000 followers. I'll just dive into putting on social media. I'll get more customers. I think research is one thing.
And maybe just to interject there, I think one of the things that people need to also understand is social media is bigger than Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Social media is even WhatsApp. WhatsApp is social media. So you basically need to understand where you can be able to get your customers best. Sometimes, like I said, WhatsApp. Be able to tailor something that shows value and shows your offer. And then you have a way of, let's say, broadcasting that communication to your customers there, and encouraging them that if they need any information or if they need to see any updates about your service or your product, then maybe they can keep following maybe on your WhatsApp status, or look out for something every once in a week that you share with them. So it's bigger than Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which most businesses in Uganda actually think social media is. It's bigger than that.
Oh yes, that's definitely true. Now we're dealing with social media and knowing, okay, it's bigger. It's bigger. We need to research. We need to know social media is not just these three platforms or four. But then there's a question. I personally have seen brands post once in a blue moon. Does the frequency of posting on all these social media platforms increase your chances of getting more leads, and also promoting your business?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think that depends on the brand itself. Then too, it depends on the platform. These platforms have also their algorithms that determine what is good, and then what borderline moves to what we call spamming. You find that you need to understand that with Facebook, a post every 2 days maybe, or let's say 3 posts in a week can be fine on Facebook. But 3 posts in a week does not cut it on Twitter, because Twitter ideally is more conversation and there's a lot happening and there are trends and everything. So you need to stay afloat. So you might need to break down your content to more palatable and more, let's say, more numerous content types for Twitter. Then when it comes to Instagram, also you need to maybe have a post a day. Then you'll find that on LinkedIn, you may need to have 2 posts a week. So it depends on the platform as well. But then again, I don't encourage businesses to have, let's say, 1 post in 2 months or 1 post a month, because you need to keep people engaged with who you are as a brand, what you're all about, and maybe also push your product. Like I said, it is in this, what I like to call it, a digital ocean, because there are so many things happening, from sports to entertainment to news to anything that's trending. You wake up on any different day and your phone is blowing up with different things. So if you do not find a way of being consistent, then you will ideally drown and people will forget about your brand. And if social media is one of the strategies that you hold as a priority, then you will need to constantly keep engaging with people. Like I said, just with a particular attention to each platform and how often you can push there. But also understanding that with these platforms and with consistency, that you need to strike a balance between consistent communication and spamming and overdoing it. Because sometimes if you do it too much, then your customers will also will feel like it's too much, it's irritating. I have had some of those experiences before with some of the brands I follow. I feel like this one is posting too much. I feel like one is not posting enough. So you need to ideally put out a balanced amount of content depending on the platform, and just have at least a semblance of consistency in what you're doing to keep relevant and, like I said, to keep top of mind.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So before we continue, I have a question from our viewer, Semuju Lewis. He's asking, how do you go about designing a social media? How do you go about designing social media strategy and a social media calendar?
Well, a social media strategy and a social media calendar. Lewis, thanks for watching. I should just say that. Yeah, basically, you need to understand first what your communication plan is. And your communication plan is ideally something that's that is tied to your vision, your product, and ideally who you are. Remember, I said we are not trying to, as you're communicating to people on social media, you're not trying to talk at people, you're trying to talk to people. So whether you're trying to promote a product, whether you're trying to show a human side of your brand, whether you're trying to appeal to their emotions through something that is more, let's say, humanitarian, how are you able to tailor it? You should be able to have something at least outlined for a year. Then you break it down into something that is for the month, and then something that's for the quarter, topics for the particular year. And then these topics are going to help you to make a calendar. I always advise people to make calendars that are at least tailored for a month. But within that calendar as well, make sure that you have space for anything that may come up that is unforeseen. For instance, you could have your calendar that maybe don't fill your calendar too much to the point that you now, if you add anything extra, that it will be it will come off as now over posting. But if I've set up my content calendar and I'm communicating to people, and I've, let's say, tailored that I'm going to have 5 posts a week, that allows me that in the event that something new and trendy has come up on social media that I feel is relevant with my brand, that I can be able to tie it into the content that I put out to also be part of that trend, and also still engage and entertain and maybe, let's say, educate the people that I'm with. So it's sitting down before the month, always try to do it before that month, and create your calendar tailored to what, as an organization, you have agreed is your communication plan and what is the topic of that particular month or that particular quarter. It helps you to ideally know that this is what our communications are going to center around. These are the offers that we have, and we want them to run from this period to the other period. So everything is set earlier on. This helps you also that when you're using scheduling tools, you're able to also put this out and have enough time to handle all other aspects of your brand without having to wake up in the morning and have to panic post because, oh my God, we have not yet posted for the brand in a week. That you're able to create content for a month. You're able to create content that is engaging, and you have even time to think about it. You have time to be able to think about what the customer would want. So if I'm in a position to ideally create that prior, then present it to the people or schedule it for posting when you need it to post, it will ideally be able to engage and allow you to also sit back and think about what you need to do. Also, or monitor it to see what is working and what is not working. But ideally, always have a communication plan for the year, then break it down into a quarter, break it down into into a month. And there is no science in how your communication or your content plan needs to be. Just get a way that works for you. Is it through Word? Is it through Excel? Is it through PowerPoint? So, and then you just have to create and make sure that your copy, your content types are all ready for when you need them to go out.
Oh, that's actually interesting. I thought you wake up one morning and just start posting whatever you have for the week. But if it is hard work,
it can actually be very stressful when you find yourself, some days you can be busy. This life we live, there are so many unforeseen circumstances that arise. So if you had to post something today and then you wake up and you have an emergency, you might remember at 4 p.m., oh, I forgot to post this. And you're sacrificing the attention or the value that you would have given as a brand, and you're putting it behind at the expense of your poor planning.
Yeah. So well, we are almost coming to the wind up of this webinar. However, what tip would you give a social media manager when they want to come up with, let's say, when they just want to come up with a social media development strategy, like they want to develop their social media as managers? Let me put it this way: as a social media manager, they want to develop like more selling points on these channels, kind of maybe give out freebies, maybe put out engaging posts. What piece of advice would you give them when they're just starting out as social media managers?
Well, it all goes back to one thing: doing your homework first and foremost. Doing your homework in that you're understanding who your target market is. Usually you have a particular person you're communicating to. And then if you've understood that, then you will be able to know that this is how my target market is, even just from the way they speak. Because different age groups, different people, different categories have different lingo. So how are you in a position to put yourself in a way that, okay, I am able to communicate with them the right way, in the right content types, in the right times as well? Because ideally, or I think one thing I have not mentioned is that sometimes you also need to pay attention to the times that your target market is online or that it is engaging. No, it's not a must that everyone needs to start posting at 8 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes I work with a couple of hotels, and the time that most of them engage is 8 p.m. So me posting at 8 a.m. sometimes is not really as valuable as it would be for maybe someone who's in business, who is in news, who is in media. So ideally, first making the plan, understanding the target market as a person, then we go back to creating your content plan, or I'd like to call it a communication plan, because a content plan is within a communication plan. What does a communication plan do? A communication plan guides, one, how your content calendar is going to be made. Like you said, if you have any freebies, any offers, if you have any days that you'd like to tie those offers to, let's say World Beer Day, World Social Media Day, and then you can understand that and tie your offers to those particular days. If you want to create engaging content, then it helps you also be able to plan accordingly. But as a communication plan, it also helps you to see that, do I need any partnerships or any partners to come on board with my communication strategy? Do I need influencers? Do I need content creators? Do I need to have what is my ads budget like? How am I able to spread out my ads budget? And also, when I spread out my ads budget, what are my goals, or what are my KPIs? Have I been able to target them? If I want to grow my following, that if I spend this amount of money, this is what I anticipate. What did I get? What's the success rate? What do I need to do to be better? The A/B testing that I've used at different social media platforms. Is this one working as compared to this one? Where do I need to put more resources? Where do I not need to put a lot of resources? So the communication plan helps. But then also, as social media managers, I always advise people to do your research every day. We are in a business of technology, and with each new day comes a new technology. The algorithms keep changing for each of these platforms. Many of them are really tailoring businesses to use ads as compared to organic posting. So it's important for you to be in a position to always stay at the top. What are our competitors doing in the same industry? What are our brands that are thought leaders also doing that we can be able to maybe pick a leaf from? And as in your communication style, are you taking time to also better your game in your copywriting, in the way you run your ads, in the way that, let's say, you're trying to get people to maybe lead them to a website from your social media, maybe lead them to call you directly. So you have to, I always tell people, someone that comes to you and says that me as, let's say, Ruben, I do social media, website, what, everything, that I'm a fraud, I'm lying to people. You can't do everything. You can't be a master of all those things, but you can keep learning each and every new day that this is something new about this. This is something new about this. And always learn from others, always take time to research, always work on your vocabulary, always also understand the tone in which your brand is speaking. Also understand the kind of content style that you're putting out. Are you entertaining? Are you educating? So it's important for you to know the different ways in which you can be able to communicate with people and also better yourself, your skill set. But it all goes down to one thing: your communication plan. And I always tell people, give yourself some time. Ideally, your communication plan should be ready for the quarter. It is what is going to guide you that at least by the end of this month, the new month comes in when I have my content plan, because your communication plan is already ready to serve, ready to engage, ready to provide the offers, ready to sell the vision, ready to show the human side of the brand, and not to also be monotonous in the way you put out your content. Don't focus on telling people that we are selling this every day. And if people love the weekend and your brand can be tied to that, talk about the weekend plans, weekend communications. Show them a different side of your brand as well. People associate a lot more with brands that show a human side, because they feel like, oh, we're not talking to robots, we're talking to people that, oh, we took some time off to not work and just maybe have a company get together. Show them that side. Maybe get a fun Q&A to have with one of the staff. So it's important to have a diversity as well in the content that you put out. But that all goes back to one thing: a communication plan.
Thank you for that. Thank you for when you talked about vocabulary. I was thinking in my mind. I was like, now you can imagine you find a post when it has the hocus pocus of this meal. Maybe it's a hotel, and you're like, okay, what is this? Like, you don't understand it.
Well,
But I think simplicity is key sometimes.
Simplicity is always key. I always tell people, sometimes you need to treat your viewers as if they are 5-year-olds. What I actually meant by the vocabulary is just having the command of the language to be able to play around with words in the simplest way possible, but in the most palatable way, in the most understandable way possible. That is what I was trying to mean by that. But it's always important to be simple. Do not try to be very complicated in the way you communicate, because it might just stress someone who's trying to read and they will not want to associate with your brand.
Okay, understandable. So one last thing, I feel this is going to be a bit biased, but let me ask, as Ruben, what do you feel like is your favorite social media platform to advertise on, and it is very permeable to the audience and your niche market?
Ideally for my business, I will say LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been very influential in the way that we get business. But since we're talking about social media, my brand doesn't really focus a lot on social media. Because like I said, we're targeting businesses. So we really try to go emails, we really try to go cold calls, we really try to also have a team that just schedules meetings. So we have different strategies in the way we do our things. But if I was to just focus majorly on social media, Facebook still has the largest number of people, so it still remains, and it's one of the cheaper platforms for advertising. It is one that still has to be a priority for businesses, and I would advise people to use it. You just have to be able to understand the dynamics of how to be able to do it and how to be able to get the target customers seeing your ads, then getting them to consider your ads, then getting them to convert. And maybe one thing that is very important for businesses also to note is that your ads are as good as how they are responded to and how quick they are responded to. If you're a smaller business, you might not really need a CRM platform because your resource capacity and your customer capacity may not be as big. But then if you're approaching is being an established brand, then you might need a CRM like MonkeyPesa so that you can have everything of yours real time brought to you. Because there is nothing as irritating as me coming to you and asking about a service, and then you take 3 days without responding to me. That is already a red flag, and I will probably, even in my circles, say brand X really those guys do not know what they want, or they are never really responding to customers, and that's not something that you want your customers to really be saying. So it's important for you to put yourself in a position that you're also responding promptly to each lead that comes in, because each lead is very important in what would turn into a sale. But ideally, the platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn for me, then to a certain extent for some of our offers, we go Instagram.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, well, as for when you say responding promptly, I would like to say again, the MonkeyPesa CRM is live, and we have the joint inbox already inculcated in it, so you can actually use it to respond to your social media platforms in one inbox and quickly. We bring that to you. You can go to our website, monkeypesa.com. Ruben, give us one closing remark from Ruby Marketing. What do you want the people to know?
Ruby Marketing in particular, I just want people to look out for a lot of what we are planning. 2022, 2023, there's a lot that has been changing. We are revamping our website to a more, what I can call an information hub, because our picture is ideally to not only want to just have business from Ugandan brands, but also to educate them. You'll find that less than 40%, I should say, of Ugandan businesses are on social media, and even of those 40%, not many of them are actively considering them as an avenue in which they can be able to engage and maybe get new customers. But we want to change that narrative from trying to inform, educate businesses that, you know what, this is also an important tool that needs to be given its time. And that is what our goal is. Then if you feel like you're too busy to do it, then we can be able to come in position to help you with communication, because we are in the business of communicating. Marketing is communicating, and how best you communicate is how best your target market or your audience can be able to understand, relate, and want to associate with you. So people can always look out for our platforms on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter for any updates on what's new and what's happening. For any partnerships, they should look out, or just look out for my personal platforms and be able to reach out once in a while. They can ask any questions about marketing any day, and we can be able to help them with anything. We are also venturing into branding. We are venturing into the whole storytelling aspect, from video to photography. So we shall be able to control the whole narrative of basically marketing, not only digital, but creating the content and everything.
Thank you, Ruben. From us, from MonkeyPesa and Ruby Marketing, we thank you for attending this webinar. Come next week, we have more webinars for you. Ruben, I can't wait to have you again. We can't wait to have you again. We have a lot in store about marketing. Let's educate the masses about marketing. I think the next one we should be about the difference between marketing and sales. When you have the time, we shall have you again. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.